Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely terrible, terrible news. Rand Paul staffer was victim of a brutal attack in Washington, reports. This is a Daily Beast article. I'll read some other articles as well. The office of Rand Paul said Monday that one of its employees was the victim of a random attack over the weekend in Washington, D.C. Paul did not share many details in a statement to the Daily Beast, simply claiming that the staff member was brutally attacked in broad daylight. He asked, quote, I ask that you join Kelly and me in praying for a speedy and complete recovery, and thanking the first responders, hospital staff, and police for their diligent actions. At least two local TV stations, ABC 7 and Fox 5, reported that the staffer suffered life-threatening injuries after being Saturday evening. Goodness gracious. Though the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department declined to comment on the victim when reached by the Daily Beast, the suspect in that incident was arrested Monday and was identified by authorities. Okay. He was charged with assault and intent to kill. Wow. Wow. This is a Daily Beast article. And I'll read you, we can read an ABC News article right here. Senator Rand Paul staffer, multiple times, goodness gracious. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. A staffer for Senator Rand Paul, you can read it right here. This weekend, a member of my staff was brutally attacked in broad daylight in Washington, D.C. So, the actual attack, according to one of the two witnesses, this ABC News article right here, the suspect had popped out of the corner and stabbed the Paul staffer multiple times. As he and witnesses were walking, the victim, quote, was able to grab the suspect's arm, and the witness with him tackled the suspect, leading to a struggle between the parties. Then the victim and the witness ran as the suspect fled. This is the second time that this type of thing has taken place. One with, I believe, Rand Paul's neighbor. So this man is risking his life. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Terrible, terrible news. Thank God no life was lost. And what can I tell you about the political element here? What's taken place, ladies and gentlemen, is that, and I support why people demonstrated peacefully that summer before January. I condemn the chaos and mayhem that day in January, but I also condemn $1 to $2 billion in property damage. I support why people demonstrated, but you had media actually standing in front of buildings in flames, saying it's fiery but mostly peaceful. CNN, that became a meme. How can you do this? Like, how can media look at one political side, try to paint them as the villains, while at the same time exonerating and overlooking all the chaos and mayhem emanating from the Democratic Party, or from media aligned with the Democratic Party, or from activists and organizations perhaps linked to this type of behavior? I'm not saying that we know if the person was a Democrat or a liberal or a progressive or a left-leaning activist or some kind of deranged individual who did so because of politics, who attacked Rand Paul's staffer because of politics. But we know that Rand Paul was assaulted. We know that he had to go to the hospital. He suffered broken ribs, I believe. We know that one of his staffers now had just survived a life-threatening attack. Could you imagine? And I am against this type of political chaos. But this political mayhem is, I don't want to say fostered, but the funny thing is they keep saying Trump, and look what he's fomenting. He's fomenting. What actually takes place in reality is that you have all of media, you have the Department of Justice, you have loyalists within the US government, you have CNN, for example, every single day will tell you that Trump is a menace to society. He is a threat to democracy, and they will focus on that and they will obsess over it in the most apoplectic manner. They will overlook 14,000 arrests and they'll just say it happened. It just happened. They won't assign blame. They won't talk about democracy or our republic. Adam Kinzinger will not shed a tear. And that's the world we live in. We live in a world where there's a double standard in terms of political mayhem and chaos. The Dobbs decision was an example also. You had numerous Democrats giving tacit approval to mayhem, chaos. There were churches vandalized, torched, in some cases torched to the ground, just like the DC church when Trump was there. And then they flipped it on. They said it was Trump's fault. He took that picture with a Bible, or he tried to clear Lafayette Square for peaceful people. And of course, that wasn't the case. That story was not accurate. And there were thousands of injured officers throughout that summer. But if you try to explain, hey, the Dobbs decision led to chaos and mayhem from the left, that summer was chaos and mayhem from the left. And I agree with why people peacefully demonstrated. I think George Floyd was murdered. If you ask me, that's my viewpoint. And I understand people, oh, he had narcotics. Yeah, but you know what? I mean, 10 minutes on somebody's neck, they can't breathe. Okay, but that is not justification, nor does it help anybody to engage in $1 to $2 billion in property damage. And media just says it happened. There's no link to Democrats. There's no link to left-leaning groups when Democrats were actually bailing out protesters because there were 14,000 arrests. And media kept saying it's mostly peaceful, mostly peaceful. Well, with that logic, that day associated with Trump, according to Tucker Carlson, was mostly peaceful. What they do is they play semantic games. But if you keep playing these semantic games, you deliberately manipulate words and meanings and take things and twist things out of context, then everything's morally relative when it comes to mayhem and chaos from your political side. And everything is, the reaction is the most sensationalized, apoplectic reaction when it's anything to do with Trump. I mean, where is Kinzinger? Did Kinzinger say anything today about this? I don't know. I don't even want to look at this. Did Cheney speak out about this? Did Mitch McConnell? Did anybody speak out? Because that's the issue here. The issue, ladies and gentlemen, is did these people speak out about what took place? Did the Lincoln Project oppose this? Did Pelosi say something about this? Okay. Did the Honorable Christopher Wray say, hey, you know what? There is mayhem and chaos coming from left-leaning organizations, or because this is if this was a random attack, that's one thing. However, if it was politically motivated, then you have a serious problem with a lot of these types of situations taking place where you have intimidation of conservative or Republican people in Congress. So you have this type of intimidation, and you look at, they keep talking about the Republican and democracy. It's like, this is the second time that this has happened to Rand Paul. And Rand Paul, his foreign policy is what the foreign policy of most liberals. Most liberals 20 years ago had exactly Rand Paul's foreign policy. And the Democratic Party turned into the Bush-Cheney, a socially liberal Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld political party. And that's why you vote Trump. That's why people vote Trump, because he's against never-ending military conflict. He's the antithesis of an authoritarian. The authoritarians are the people who focus on words and this fabricated decorum that just was created the other day and just shrug their shoulders at never-ending military conflict. Give me your thoughts below. Terrible, terrible news regarding Rand Paul staffer. Thank God he's alive. God bless you. God bless Rand Paul's staffer and Rand Paul and his staff. Thank you so very, very much.